My name is Ethan Cole, and I am 34 years old and I live in Portland, Oregon, which is a city full of rain-soaked trees, old houses that creak when the wind blows, and people who wear flannel like it is some kind of uniform, even in the summer when it is way too hot to cover yourself in wool and cotton. Blended fabric. I work as a sound engineer at a small recording studio on the edge of the Alberta Arts District, where bands come through to record their albums or demos, or just mess around. With music for fun, it is not famous work, but it is honest, and I like being behind the scenes where the magic happens. I am not a performer myself. I never wanted the spotlight, but I love the way sound can carry emotion. The way a single note played at the right time can make someone cry or feel hope, or remember something they did not want to remember. Music has power, and I have always believed that if you listen close enough, you can hear the truth in it, not just the lyrics, but the tone, the timing, way someone breathes before they sing a certain word. That is how I noticed something was wrong with my relationship with Megan, and I had been together for 3 years and 2 months when everything started to come apart. She was a graphic designer who worked from home most days, and she had this bright energy that made you want to be around her. When we first met, she would laugh at my bad jokes, tell me I was brilliant for fixing the toilet or making her coffee just the way she liked it. She painted murals on the walls of coffee shops and community centers, and once she stayed up all night to finish a piece for a children's hospital, and I brought her soup in a thermos at 4 in the morning just to see her smile. That is the woman I fell in love with, the one who cared deeply about beauty and kindness, and making people happy. But somewhere along the line that light started to dim. I did not notice it at first because change is slow, like the way the seasons shift in Portland. You do not wake up one day and realize winter is here. You just slowly stop seeing the sun. The first real sign that something was wrong happened on a Tuesday in October. I came home from the studio around 8 in the evening, after a long day of editing vocals for a punk band that kept arguing about their harmonies. I opened the door expecting to see Megan on the couch with her laptop balanced on her knees, sketching something on her tablet maybe, wearing the oversized sweatshirt I bought her for her birthday. But the house was dark and quiet. I called out her name and heard the shower running, so I went to the kitchen to start making dinner. I figured we could eat together even if it was late. I pulled out the chicken and vegetables I had bought earlier and turned on the stove. When she came out of the bathroom 20 minutes later, she was wrapped in a towel and her hair was still dripping. But she did not say hello. She did not ask what I was cooking. She just walked past me and went into the bedroom and closed the door. I stood there holding a wooden spoon in one hand and a bag of baby carrots in the other, feeling confused. And then a little hurt. I waited for her to come out and change so we could talk, but she did not, so I put the food away and went to bed by myself. I did not want to start a fight over nothing. Maybe she was tired, maybe she had a bad day. I told myself that. But in my gut I knew it was more than that. The way she had avoided me, the way she did not even look at me, it was like I was not really there anymore. The next morning she acted like everything was fine. She made pancakes, which was something she only did when she wanted to smooth things over, and she kissed me on the cheek like nothing had happened. But I could taste the lie in the syrup. It was too sweet, too forced. I wanted to ask her what was going on, but I did not want to seem paranoid or clingy. I had seen the way relationships fell apart when one person started accusing the other of things without proof. I did not want to be that guy, so I stayed quiet and told myself it would pass, but it did not pass. It got worse. She started staying out later. She said she was meeting friends for drinks or going to art shows, but she never invited me. She used to love bringing me to things, showing me her world. But now it was like she had built a new one and left me behind the front door. I asked her once if everything was okay between us, and she looked at me like I was speaking a different language and said, "Of course, why would you think that?" I said, "Because you do not talk to me anymore. You do not touch me. You go to bed angry for no reason." And she just shrugged and said, "Maybe you are imagining things. Maybe you need to relax." That hurt more than anger would have, because at least anger would mean she still cared enough to fight. But indifference, it is like being erased. Then came the night that changed everything. I was working late at the studio on a mix for a folk singer who wanted her voice to sound like it was coming from inside an old church. I had been layering harmonies and reverb for hours, and I finally finished around 9:30. I texted Megan to see if she wanted me to pick up dinner on the way home. She did not answer, so I called her twice. But it went to voicemail. I thought maybe her phone was dead, or she was in the shower again. But then I saw her Instagram story pop up on my phone. It was a photo of a cocktail on a wooden table with the caption "Girls' Night." Is exactly what I needed. My chest tightened when I read that because she had not told me she was going out, and she never posted about girls' nights. Before, she was not really the type to document her social life. I scrolled back through her feed and saw that she had not posted anything in weeks. Except for that one story. I drove home fast. The streets were slick with rain, and the windshield wipers slapped back and forth like a metronome, keeping time with my rising anxiety. When I pulled into our driveway, her car was not there. I checked the time. It was 10:15. I sat in the car for a while, waiting, watching the street light flicker above me, wondering if I should call her again or just go inside and wait. But something in my gut was screaming that I already knew where she was and who she was with. A month before, I had started to notice that whenever I mentioned her friend Jordan, her whole body would change. She would shift in her seat, look away too fast. Her voice would get higher, like she was lying even when she was not speaking about him. She had mentioned him a few times as this guy she had gone to college with, who was now a photographer, and that they had reconnected over Instagram. She said they were just friends, that he had helped her get a few freelance gigs. But I watched the way her eyes lit up when she talked about him. And I remembered the way she used to look at me before everything faded. I had never liked Jordan, not because he did anything wrong, but because of the way he existed in our relationship, like a ghost. He was always there in the background, in her phone, in her stories, in the way she would sometimes space out like she was thinking of someone else. I had brought it up once in a joking way. "Hey, are you two secretly dating behind my back?" And she had laughed, but not the kind of laugh that means something is funny. It was the kind that means you touched a nerve. And do not do it again. So I dropped it, because I did not want to be the jealous boyfriend, the insecure one who could not trust his partner. But now, sitting in my car at 10:30 at night, with her Instagram story burning in my mind, I knew I had to see for myself. I did not want to believe the worst, but I also could not ignore the truth that was stacking up like bricks in front of me. So I did something I never thought I would do. I drove to the address where Jordan lived. I had looked it up once out of curiosity and saved it in my notes app just in case. I told myself it was for emergency reasons, but deep down I knew why I saved it. His apartment was in a brick building in the Pearl District, a part of town I did not go to often. It was quiet and expensive and full of people who cared more about aesthetics than soul. When I parked across the street, I saw her car right away, her red hatchback with the dented bumper. She had never gotten fixed. I sat there for 10 minutes watching the building, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might wake the neighbors. Then I saw the light come on in a second-floor window, and I recognized the shape of her silhouette walking past the blind. Something inside me cracked. I did not go up. I did not knock on the door. I just sat there until I saw the light go off again, and then another set of headlights turned on from a silver sedan. I watched it drive away, and I followed it at a distance. I was not trying to confront anyone, I just needed to know. I followed it for 20 minutes, until it pulled into the parking lot of a motel, just off the highway, the kind of place with flickering neon signs and rooms that rent by the hour. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel as I watched Jordan get out of the driver's side, and then Megan from the passenger side. They were laughing, they were close, their bodies were touching as they walked to room 12. I stayed in my car until their car stopped idling, until the lights in the room turned on. And then I drove away as fast as I could, tears blurring my vision, the rain getting harder like the sky was crying with me. I did not go home. I drove to an all-night diner on Sandy Boulevard and sat in a booth for 2 hours eating a cold omelet and staring at the salt and pepper shakers, trying to figure out what to do. I felt broken, humiliated, stupid for not seeing it sooner, angry that she had chosen him over us, furious that she had made me feel crazy for suspecting anything. I kept thinking about the years I had given her, the way I had supported her career, the way I had listened to her talk about her dreams, the way I had held her when her father died last year, and she had sobbed into my chest for an hour. I had loved her with everything I had, and she had thrown it away for a cheap motel and a man who was not me. When I finally went home, I did not sleep. I sat on the couch with my guitar and started playing chords that did not go together. They were harsh and discordant like the sound of a heart breaking. I wrote a song that night, not a pretty one, not a sad ballad, but a raw, angry thing full of distortion and whispered curses. I called it The Lie You Live, and I recorded it on my phone with a broken voice and tears in every line. The next day Megan came home around noon. She was wearing the same clothes as the night before, and her makeup was smudged. She looked at me like she expected me to be asleep or gone. But I was sitting at the kitchen table with a coffee in one hand and my phone in the other. I did not say anything at first. I just stared at her until she asked what is wrong in a voice that was supposed to sound innocent, but came out guilty. I told her, I know what you did last night. I told her I saw her car. I followed them. I saw them go into the motel. I watched her face change from confusion to fear to something like anger. She did not cry. She did not apologize. She said, how dare you follow me? How dare you spy on me? You are the one who has been suffocating me with your neediness. This is your fault for not being enough for me. I stood up so fast my chair fell over. And I said, do not do that. Do not make this about me. You are the one who cheated. You are the one who lied. You are the one who broke us. And she said, well, maybe if you had been more present, if you had given me more attention, if we had sex more often, I would not have needed to go looking elsewhere. That is when I snapped. I screamed at her to get out. I threw her sketchbooks into a trash bag, ripped up the photos of us on the wall, kicked her shoes into the yard. I did not care anymore. I was done being the nice guy, the understanding one who always tried to fix things. I told her I never wanted to see her again, and that she could have Jordan and their dirty little secret, and I hoped it was worth it. She left without saying another word, just slammed the door so hard a picture frame fell and shattered on the floor. For the next 2 weeks, I did not leave the house. I canceled my shifts at the studio. I stopped answering calls from friends. I played that song I wrote over and over until the words lost meaning. I drank too much coffee, stayed up too late, stared at the ceiling, and wondered how someone could love you and still choose to hurt you so deeply. It did not make sense. It still does not. But then something shifted. I was cleaning out a drawer in the bedroom and I found an old USB drive I did not remember. I plugged it into my laptop, and inside was a folder labeled private. It took me a second to open it because I knew whatever was inside would hurt, but I had to know. I clicked it and found videos, dozens of them, all of Megan and Jordan, all filmed in our house, in our bed, in the shower, in the living room. They had been doing this for months, maybe longer. They were laughing, whispering, saying things like, I wish he was gone. I cannot wait until he is out of the picture. We should run away together. They had plans, they had dreams, they had built a fantasy on the bones of my love and my trust. I sat there for hours watching them, feeling every emotion at once: rage, shame, disbelief, grief. And then I made a decision. I was not going to suffer in silence. I was not going to let them get away with it. I was not going to be the victim who faded into the background while they moved on together. I would make sure the truth was heard. I would make sure everyone knew what they had done. I spent the next week editing the videos. I did not show the explicit parts. I was not trying to humiliate her in that way. I clipped the audio, pulled out the moments where she said things like, Ethan does not suspect a thing. He is so clueless. He deserves this because he does not give me what I need. I compiled it all into a single video with a soundtrack underneath. The song I had written, The Lie You Live. It was haunting and powerful and true. Then I reached out to everyone who knew us. I sent the video to her parents, her boss, her best friend from high school, the people at her church, the studio where I worked. I did not add any commentary. I just wrote one sentence in the email: this is what they did behind your back, and then attached the file. I posted it on her public Instagram page, on Jordan's photography page, on Reddit, on community forums, on art groups where she had posted her work. Before, I did not hide my name. I signed every message with my name and address so they could find me, so they could ask me why I did it, because I had nothing to hide. Within 48 hours, the story exploded. Her parents disowned her, her boss fired her, her freelance clients dropped her, Jordan's photography business collapsed because people did not want to work with a man who betrayed someone so cruelly. Her best friend wrote a long post saying she had always sensed something was off, but did not say anything because she did not want to cause drama. Her own mother called me in tears and said she had no idea her daughter had become this person. I went back to work. I reconnected with friends. I started seeing a therapist. I still hurt, but I was no longer broken. I had taken back my power. And then came the twist. 3 months after I released the video, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Megan. She said she had lost everything: her career, her family, her home. She was living in a cheap apartment and working at a diner. She said she was sorry, not because she got caught, but because she had hurt someone who loved her so deeply. She said Jordan had left her after the fallout. He said he never wanted to ruin my life. He had only wanted an affair, not a relationship. She said she was alone and empty. And for the first time in years, she could see the truth. She asked if we could talk. I did not reply. I burned the letter and played the song one more time, because some wounds do not heal with forgiveness. Some scars are meant to remind you to never look back.